Last night, I saw something in the spirit. A great clock in the heavens began to move, and as it struck midnight, waves of light spread across the earth. Every soul marked by heaven began to stir. It was as if the breath of God swept through time itself, saying, "It ends tonight." The moment I woke up, I knew this message had to be delivered, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Have you felt it too? The stillness in the air that feels charged, sacred, as if something is about to unfold. The atmosphere is heavier than usual, almost alive. It's not your imagination. Heaven is shifting the atmosphere around you. And if you're hearing this, it's not random. It's because your name has been spoken in the spirit realm. Chosen one, this message didn't find you by accident. It was written into your timeline before you ever took your first breath. What you're hearing now isn't just another word, it's a revelation. Heaven has broken through the noise to meet you right where you are, because tonight, the truth you've been waiting for will finally be revealed. You've carried questions for too long. You've prayed through silence that felt endless. There were nights when your tears said what your words couldn't, and days when you showed up to life even though your heart felt empty. You've endured delay, rejection, betrayal, not because you were forgotten, but because you were being refined. Heaven saw it all. None of it was wasted. Every disappointment was direction. Every delay was protection. You were hidden, not denied. And now, heaven says, the hiding is over. You've reached what heaven calls a divine midnight, the intersection where old cycles die and new ones are born. The pain that once defined you will now testify for you. The warfare that haunted your bloodline ends with you. What others couldn't conquer, you will. What once silenced your voice will now amplify it. God is saying, I have chosen you to be the evidence that I still redeem what looks impossible. You will carry the proof that light always wins. This isn't coincidence, it's divine intervention. This isn't delay, it's alignment. Heaven has drawn a line in the spirit tonight, and what tormented you stops here. The verdict has been spoken, it is finished. Chosen one, if your spirit feels this word, don't let it pass by. Act on it now. Type 777 inches the comments as your prophetic sign of agreement. Like this message as your declaration of faith. Share it with another chosen one who's been waiting for their word. And stay until the end, because before this night is over, the truth you've been waiting for will unfold before your eyes. And when you see it, you'll understand why God made you wait. This is not just a message, it's a revelation written for your soul. God's chosen ones, the truth you've been waiting for, is revealed tonight. Chosen one, don't move, don't scroll, because what you're about to receive is not mere information, it's revelation. The air is shifting even now. Something ancient and divine is aligning itself with your story. Tonight is not just another night, it is the night heaven turns the page. You're about to understand why God chose you to be the breaker, the finisher, the one who ends what others only endured. This is your divine hour of transition, your spiritual midnight, when the unseen realm rearranges itself to match heaven's order for your life. Do you realize that sometimes heaven allows the storm not to destroy you, but to reveal you? What felt like pain was actually initiation. The pressure was the birthplace of your authority. Every tear you cried was watering seeds of glory you didn't even know were buried inside your soul. You thought you were breaking, but you were blooming in secret. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. Tonight marks the crossing between that weeping and that joy. In Exodus 12:29, the scripture says, "At midnight the Lord struck down all the firstborn in Egypt." That was not a story of wrath, it was a story of release. Midnight has always symbolized transition, the thin line between endings and beginnings, between sorrow and song, between captivity and calling. God is saying to you now, This is your midnight hour. The same hand that broke Egypt's chains is reaching into your life tonight, breaking the invisible weights that have kept your soul weary. Depression, self-doubt, shame, confusion. They end here. They end now. Can you feel that? The quiet stirring in your chest? That's not anxiety anymore. That's your spirit remembering its original strength. You were never weak, only waiting for divine timing to activate your authority. Heaven has drawn a line and whispered, "This far and no further." The attacks, the confusion, the emotional exhaustion, they have reached their limit. For when heaven says enough, every force opposing your peace must bow to the command of the Almighty. But tonight is not just a moment of relief, it's a moment of revelation. God isn't simply rescuing you, He's revealing you. He's showing the world that His covenant still covers you, that His promise is alive inside you. You are walking into divine separation, the sacred divide between who you were and who you're becoming. The old self, the one shaped by fear, rejection, and survival, is fading away. The new you, the one forged in prayer, silence, and unseen victories, is rising. Behold, I am making all things new. Revelation 21:5. This is the night where divine order returns, where heaven rearranges the architecture of your destiny. It's the moment when despair trades places with destiny, when mourning transforms into movement. What felt like the end of you was never your ending. It was heaven clearing the stage for your unveiling. Michelangelo once said that every block of marble contains a statue within it, and that the sculptor's job is simply to remove the excess stone. That's what God has been doing with you. Every heartbreak, every delay, every closed door was a chisel in His hand, carving away what didn't belong to your highest identity. You thought you were losing pieces of yourself, but you were being refined into the masterpiece He envisioned all along. Let me ask you something. What if every season that broke you was secretly building you? What if the silence you feared was actually heaven's classroom? What if the delay wasn't denial, but divine pacing? You see, the truth you've been waiting for isn't just that God has heard you, it's that He's been shaping you through every unanswered prayer. In the world of physics, there's a law called resonance. When two frequencies meet, they begin to vibrate in harmony until the weaker one aligns with the stronger. Tonight, your spirit is coming into resonance with divine frequency. The noise of the past can't survive in this vibration. Confusion can't coexist with clarity. Fear can't breathe where faith takes root. This is alignment. This is power. And as heaven rewrites your story tonight, remember the promise in Isaiah 61, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." This isn't symbolic, it's literal. You're being activated. Heaven is issuing you new authority, a spiritual identity upgrade. You are no longer the wounded one, you are the chosen finisher, the one who completes the unfinished cycles of your lineage. The patterns that defeat others will stop with you. The battles that broke your family will end in your hands. The curses that once followed your name will dissolve under your obedience. Chosen one, this is your midnight. The divine clock has struck in your favor. What you thought was the closing of a chapter is actually the unveiling of your purpose. The storm didn't take you out, it revealed the anchor you already were. The night isn't your ending, it's heaven's stage for your rising. You didn't survive all this time just to collapse now. You're still standing because you were built to finish strong. When God declares enough, everything contrary to His promise must yield. Depression will bow, fear will retreat, confusion will scatter, because when heaven speaks, creation listens. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. So be still tonight, chosen one. The divine truth you've been waiting for is here. You were never forgotten. You were foreordained. This is the night heaven rewrites your name in light. This is the hour when your story bends toward redemption. And as the old fades into silence, the new begins to sing. Welcome to your midnight awakening. Chosen one, You have no idea how much heaven is depending on you. The weight you feel is not a burden, it's a calling. Because of you, someone else will find faith again. Because of you, a broken heart will remember how to trust. Because of you, a family line marked by pain will finally begin to heal. You are not simply living your life, you are fulfilling a divine assignment. You are heaven's answer to a generational problem, the living bridge between what was broken and what will be blessed. That's why the warfare has been so fierce. That's why the storms felt personal. You are not under attack because you are weak. You are under attack because you carry weight, spiritual weight, generational weight, eternal significance. The pressure was never punishment. It was proof that your life carries enough anointing to shift history. You felt the tension between who you were and who heaven says you are because your spirit has been expanding beyond the limits of your old identity. When David faced Goliath in 1 Samuel 17, it wasn't just about one man fighting a giant, it was about a nation's freedom being restored. His courage became contagious. His obedience unlocked victory for people who were too afraid to fight. That's you. You are not just standing for yourself, you're standing for your bloodline, for your purpose, for your legacy. The prayers you whisper in private are shaking foundations you can't even see. Because of you, curses are breaking. Because of you, light is entering rooms that have known only darkness. Because of you, the story written over your family is being rewritten in heaven's ink. You are heaven's vessel of transformation, the hinge between generations, the embodiment of divine correction. The enemy thought if he could break you, he could stop what God planned. But what hell meant for harm became the very soil where heaven planted strength. God has turned your pain into power, your wounds into weapons, your heartbreak into holy fire. You've been forged in spiritual flame for a purpose greater than comfort, a purpose that transforms destinies. When you prayed through your pain, heaven advanced its agenda through you. When you chose forgiveness over bitterness, heaven reclaimed territory in your family line. When you kept showing up, despite not feeling seen, angels documented your endurance. You are not weak, you are war-tested, you are spirit-forged. Every blow you took was refining you for authority. Every loss was sharpening your discernment. The very things that tried to destroy you have built something inside of you that hell cannot touch. Faith. And not just ordinary faith, but the kind that moves through generations. The kind of faith that carries resurrection power. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. Not because weapons won't form, but because your spiritual resilience outlasts every attack. You carry an authority that only comes from endurance. Heaven trusts you with revelation because you've proven you can be faithful with mystery. Have you ever wondered why certain storms didn't destroy you when they should have? Why did your mind stay intact when everything around you was falling apart? That was grace in motion. That was heaven reinforcing your soul because your assignment wasn't complete. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusts in him, and he helps me. Psalm 28:7. You are being sustained by something supernatural, divine protection that surrounds the chosen. Every prayer you whispered in exhaustion reached the throne room. Every tear you cried became a note in heaven's record of your resilience. You've been heaven's hidden warrior, fighting battles no one saw but everyone will benefit from. Because of you, timelines are shifting, heaven is moving, history is changing. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. And perhaps now, in this very moment, you're starting to realize that your existence has never been random. You were born to interrupt patterns, to end cycles, to speak truth into systems built on silence. You are God's response to the question your ancestors could not answer. You carry the spiritual DNA of redemption. When you walk into a room, you're not just one person. You're the manifestation of every prayer ever prayed for deliverance in your family line. Rumi once wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." Your wounds became openings for heaven to dwell. They are no longer symbols of pain, but of presence. They remind you that you survived what was meant to silence you, and in doing so, you became the voice your lineage was waiting for. Do you know what's happening now? Heaven is watching. Eternity is leaning in. The same divine breath that hovered over creation is hovering over your life right now, activating everything that was dormant. You've passed tests that others never recognized, and heaven is promoting you accordingly. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. Romans 8:28. Chosen one, take this in deeply. You are not ordinary. You are an answer disguised as a person. You are the living evidence that what the enemy meant for destruction has become a declaration of divine power. You are proof that when God places his hand on someone, no storm, no curse, no betrayal can remove it. Because of you, faith is being restored, generations are being healed, and eternity itself is applauding. Stand tall, beloved vessel. Heaven is depending on you, and you are already doing exactly what you were sent to do. Chosen one, listen closely. This moment is sacred. What you are feeling right now is not confusion, it's confirmation. The old cycles are collapsing. Heaven has drawn the line, and your soul can feel it. Cycles are patterns, spiritual loops that trap people in repetition, pain disguised as familiarity, fear camouflaged as safety. But you were never meant to live in circles. You were designed to move in spirals, ever rising, ever expanding, carrying wisdom from each turn into a higher dimension of purpose. You are not here to repeat pain. You are here to rewrite history. In Isaiah 43:18-19, God declares, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" The divine question isn't whether the new thing is happening. It already is. The question is, can you perceive it? Can you sense the subtle shift in your spirit, the quiet confidence where anxiety once lived, the stillness replacing the noise of old fear, because the news has already begun? The old cycle is over. The fear that kept you small, the procrastination that stole your momentum, the self-doubt that made you second-guess your worth. The waiting that once felt endless is now complete. You are not who you were last season. The tears taught you how to see beyond emotion. The waiting purified your motives. The rejection refined your discernment. God wasn't trying to destroy you. He was training you. But he knows the way that I take. When he has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. Job 23:10. Every heartbreak makes your heart more compassionate. Every closed door taught you which spaces were sacred. Every delay stretched your patience into maturity. You were never abandoned. You were being aligned. Each moment you thought you were stuck was heaven secretly redirecting your steps. The path wasn't blocked. It was being built beneath your feet. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. Psalm 37:23. You've been through fire and came out purified, not burned, through storms and emerged anointed, not broken. The pressure that once crushed you has now crowned you. The weight that once overwhelmed you has now grounded you. What used to exhaust you no longer shakes you, because endurance has transformed into authority. Do you feel that quiet certainty within you, the sense that something irreversible has shifted? That's not imagination, that's divine activation. The process was never punishment, it was preparation. You were not being tested to prove your weakness. You were being strengthened to carry more weight. You've graduated spiritually, and heaven is changing your status. What once resisted, you will now recognize you. The gates that stayed locked are opening, not because of your name, but because of your anointing. Your spirit now carries heaven's signature. God is moving you from waiting to walking, from hoping to having, from promise to possession. The Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall be above only and not beneath. Deuteronomy 28:13. You are crossing over the threshold from being a seeker of purpose to a carrier of destiny. The anointing that sustained you in the wilderness will now establish you in your inheritance. The manna that once fed you in secret will become the provision that multiplies through you in public. Psychologists say the human brain tends to repeat emotional experiences until it learns the lesson hidden within them. But the Spirit operates differently. Once revelation is received, the pattern is broken, and you, chosen one, have received revelation. You've learned to recognize the voice of peace over panic, truth over temptation, alignment over attachment. The spiritual architecture of your life has been rebuilt, stronger and clearer than ever before. Think of this like the restoration of an ancient cathedral. The old cracks had to be exposed before the light could shine through the stained glass again. That's what God has done with you. Every fracture in your soul has been filled with divine gold, just like the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with golden resin so that the break itself becomes a masterpiece. Your scars are no longer signs of failure, they are sacred evidence of transformation. You are now entering a season of construction, not survival. It's time to build peace where there was once panic, to build a legacy where there was once loss, to build faith where there was once fear. Unless the Lord builds the house, the builders labor in vain, Psalm 127:1. But take heart this time, you're not building alone. Heaven is your blueprint. The Spirit is your architect. Divine timing is your foundation. Chosen one. Cycles break when wisdom replaces emotion. You've reached that threshold. What once tempted you no longer attracts you. What once scared you no longer stops you. You've become the finisher of unfinished stories, the one heaven trusts to end the old and establish the new. The pattern ends here. The prophecy begins now. Because of your obedience, generations after you will breathe easier. Because you chose growth over comfort, others will find freedom without fighting the same battles. This is a legacy in motion. This is what destiny looks like. Welcome to your new season, not one of waiting, but of walking. Step forward, chosen one. The ground before you has already been prepared. Chosen one, listen, God is breaking repetition so that restoration can begin. The loops that once held you captive, the patterns that kept repeating no matter how much you prayed, they are being dismantled in the Spirit right now. You will no longer walk in circles, you will walk on new paths. Your wilderness season has expired. The manna that once sustained you has stopped, not because heaven has forsaken you, but because God is transitioning you from survival to ownership. What was once a place of testing will now become a place of territory. You are crossing over. The old you was shaped by struggle, tempered in the fire of endurance, and built in the silence of waiting. The new you will be defined by strength, steady, unshakable, seasoned by wisdom. The wilderness trained you. Canaan is calling you. You've been prepared to carry weight, not wounds. Heaven has already gone before you to make the crooked path straight, to level the mountains and part the waters that once seemed impassable. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill made low. The crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. Isaiah 40:4. Chosen one, the test of your faith was never about what you lost. It was about what you refused to let go of. When everything around you fell apart, you still clung to God. When prayers went unanswered, you still believed. When people misunderstood your silence and left, you still stayed faithful. That is the mark of someone heaven can trust. You've proven that your devotion wasn't transactional. It wasn't born from blessings, but from belief. Faith doesn't prove itself in comfort. It proves itself in chaos. And you have proven that your love for God isn't dependent on outcomes, it's rooted in obedience. Do you see now how your endurance became your offering? How your stillness became your weapon? Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because when they have stood the test, they will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. James 1:12. You have passed the test. Heaven has seen your endurance and is releasing restoration in its place. In Mark 5:25-34, the woman with the issue of blood pressed through the crowd to touch the hem of Jesus' garment. She didn't wait for the perfect moment, she created one. She said within herself, "If I can just touch his garment, I will be made whole." That's the kind of faith that shifts atmospheres. That's the kind of faith that rewrites stories. And that's the kind of faith you carry, quiet, relentless, unstoppable. Heaven noticed the way you refused to give up when your circumstances screamed otherwise. The way you whispered prayers in exhaustion, yet never stopped believing. The way you kept showing up when no one was clapping. That persistence became your prophecy. While you were fighting to stay afloat, heaven was building your next chapter. The unseen realm was rearranging itself to reward your endurance. Faith like yours moves mountains, but it also moves timelines. It accelerates divine order. The waiting wasn't wasted, it was working. Do not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time you will reap a harvest if you do not give up. Galatians 6-9. Every moment you held on when quitting would have been easier became a seed of authority. You were proving not only to heaven but to yourself that your spirit could withstand pressure without losing purity. And now, that very faith is about to speak louder than your pain. It's about to testify on your behalf. You may not have seen it yet, but the reward has already been written. Heaven is honoring your consistency. The tears you thought went unnoticed watered the soil of your destiny. The prayers you thought were unheard became the blueprints of your breakthrough. There's a divine exchange happening now. Wilderness for inheritance, isolation for influence, suffering for strength. What once drained you will now define you. The places where you felt forgotten will become the places where you flourish. The very thing that tried to silence you will become the testimony that amplifies your voice. Chosen one, hear this. God never wastes endurance. Every season of waiting, every sleepless night, every quiet yes you gave when your heart was breaking, heaven has counted them all. Your faith has become currency in the spirit. You've invested in something eternal, and now the return is coming in waves. The fruit of faithfulness is multiplication, and it's your time to receive. Have you noticed the peace settling over you lately? The calm that doesn't make sense? That's restoration beginning to manifest. Heaven isn't just giving back what you lost. It's giving you authority over what once broke you. You won't just recover, you'll reign. You won't just survive, you'll build. Your wilderness taught you how to hear God in silence. Your waiting taught you how to trust without seeing. Your pain taught you how to love without condition. And now, all of that wisdom becomes your weapon, your compass, your inheritance. After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. Chosen one, this is your divine graduation. Heaven is closing the chapter of wandering and opening the book of building. The circle is broken. The season has shifted. The same faith that kept you alive will now propel you into abundance. Your persistence was your prophecy, and your prophecy is now unfolding. Chosen one, your endurance is about to echo louder than your enemies. Every night you cried and still said, "God, I trust you." Heaven recorded it. Every tear that fell in silence became a line in heaven's ledger of faith. Every time you chose peace while chaos clawed at your mind, the angels took note. Every whisper of faith became a thunderous shout in the throne room of God. And now the divine voice resounds across eternity saying, "I have tested their heart and they are ready." You are stepping into a victory that doesn't merely reward you, it reveals you. This is not the end of your story. This is the unveiling of your purpose. The pain was part of the prophecy. The process was part of the promise. You were never buried, you were planted. And now, the seed of faith that once lay hidden in the soil of obscurity is about to bloom in sight of all. The same ground that drank your tears will now witness your testimony. The same season that humbled you will now announce you. Heaven is preparing to make public what you built in private because your faith has passed the test. Chosen one, Hear this prophetic truth. It ends tonight. The tears end tonight. The restlessness ends tonight. The war in your mind ends tonight. Every chain that binds you in cycles of fear, doubt, or delay is breaking by divine decree. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Psalm 30:5. Heaven has released a new sound over your life, the sound of completion. The voices that once whispered defeat will fall silent in the presence of your transformation. Can you feel it? That gentle trembling in your spirit, it's not anxiety, it's the vibration of freedom. God has seen your warfare, and He's responding with acceleration. What took others years will take you months. What seemed unreachable will suddenly fall into place. Behold, I am the Lord, the God of all flesh. Is there anything too hard for me? Jeremiah 32:27. The cycle of delay is breaking, and the gates of breakthrough are opening wide before you. The divine decree has gone forth, and no power of darkness can reverse it. The pruning you endured was never rejection, it was redirection. In John 15:2, Jesus said, "Every branch that bears fruit, He prunes so that it may bear more fruit." God wasn't taking from you, He was making room for you. Every friendship that faded, every opportunity that vanished, every door that closed was not loss, it was strategy. The divine gardener was shaping your branches for greater reach. What looked like subtraction was actually the mathematics of heaven, where reduction always leads to multiplication. Sometimes God must remove what is good to make space for what is divine. Can you see it now, the pattern behind the pruning? What if every no was really a not yet? What if every loss was a lesson disguised as pain? Your wilderness was never wasted, it was preparation. It refined your vision, purified your motives, and revealed your true strength. You didn't just survive the storm, you absorbed its wisdom. The waves that once threatened to drown you now carry you forward. But those who hope in the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. You're no longer walking, you're soaring. The air feels thinner up here because few reach this altitude. Only those who've endured can breathe in this dimension of peace. The nights of warfare have produced mornings of wisdom. You've learned to discern God's voice even in silence. You've discovered that sometimes divine progress looks like stillness. That's why the enemy could no longer confuse you, because you stopped measuring movement by noise. The quietness that once scared you has become your sanctuary. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Chosen one, the Lord says your stillness has been your warfare. While others fought to be seen, you fought to stay aligned. You resisted the temptation to explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. You chose peace when provoked, prayer when pressured, and praise when pained. You've proven that your trust is not seasonal, it's spiritual. And now, heaven is responding. The invisible hands of divine order are rearranging your life. People, places, and opportunities are shifting because destiny is activating. What was delayed is now delivered. The things that once resisted you are being reprogrammed to receive you. The winds that once pushed against you will now carry you. Your very atmosphere is being rewritten. Have you noticed how certain doors suddenly feel lighter to open? How does it seem to find you without effort? That's divine synchronization. You're stepping into a phase where grace replaces grind. You won't have to chase. What's meant for you will recognize your vibration. This is the fruit of divine alignment, when your frequency finally matches your faith. Chosen one, let this truth settle in your soul. Heaven never forgets endurance. Every time you prayed tired, every time you believed without evidence, every time you forgave without apology, you deposited spiritual currency into eternity. And now, heaven is releasing your return. Divine interest is being added to your obedience. The angels who walked beside you in your battles are now preparing the table in your presence. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Psalm 23:5. You're about to eat from the same ground that tried to bury you. You're about to reap from fields you sowed with tears. Your harvest is not coming, it's here. Your endurance has become your announcement. The very strength that once made you invisible will now make you undeniable. Heaven's light is turning in your direction. The wilderness has ended. The river is flowing. The season of hiding is over. The unveiling has begun. Every hidden talent, every unseen effort, every quiet yes to God, it's all being magnified. The spiritual laws that governed your pruning are now commanding your promotion. The delay wasn't denial, it was calibration. God was aligning you with people who carry the same frequency of truth, with opportunities that match your level of growth. What once felt like emptiness was the clearing of sacred space for something new. Chosen one, as this new cycle opens, stays grounded in humility. Remember who sustained you when no one was watching. Don't forget the prayers that were born this season. Let gratitude be your governance. Because what's coming next won't require you to strive. It will require you to stay still enough to let grace move. Can you believe that the same God who carried you through nights of confusion is now writing a public testimony out of your private tears? Can you feel the sacred relief that comes when you finally understand that none of it was wasted? Your life, your endurance, your obedience, they have become heaven's sermon to the world. You are the proof that faith doesn't fail, it fulfills. The process wasn't punishment, it was positioning. And now, you are exactly where God always intended you to be, ready. Everything that tried to delay you has become the reason for your acceleration. Everything that hurts you has become the soil of your harvest. And everything that left you empty has made room for glory. The tears end tonight. The warfare ends tonight. The cycle ends tonight. And as you rest your head tonight, may you feel the gentle whisper of heaven saying, "Well done, my child. You stayed faithful, and now it's your time." Chosen one, every delay was design, and every silence was strategy. What felt like absence was actually orchestration. The very areas where you thought you were being reduced were the places heaven was preparing to overflow. You were not being cut off, you were being cut into destiny. Every friendship that faded, every opportunity that slipped away, every plan that unraveled before your eyes was divine construction in disguise. Heaven was dismantling what could not carry the weight of your next level. You see, God never builds on unstable ground. He had to remove what was temporary before he could establish what was eternal. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain to build it. Psalm 127:1. The collapse was not destruction, it was preparation for reconstruction. God had to strip away what you were clinging to so you could finally take hold of what he was offering. The blueprint of your life has been redrawn by the architect of eternity himself, and this time every line is aligned with purpose. The foundation has been inspected, cleared, and laid anew, not with human expectation, but with divine precision. And when heaven builds, nothing, no lie, no delay, no darkness can collapse it. Can you sense the quiet confidence that has replaced your fear? Can you feel that peace settling deeper than your confusion ever reached? That's not coincidence. That's divine stability taking root. Chosen one, do not mourn what you've lost. Thank God for what's coming. You've reached the hour of divine endings that birth supernatural beginnings. The things that were left were never meant to limit you. They were meant to liberate you. You are walking through a threshold moment, a transition between what was and what will be. What you call the end, heaven calls entrance. Behold, I am making all things new. Revelation 21:5. The night is passing, and the dawn is rising. The page has turned, and heaven is writing again, not with ink, but with light. This is the midnight hour, turning into morning. You've reached the limit of suffering, and heaven now declares, it ends tonight. Every pain, every battle, every invisible burden that tried to wear you down over, the final page of that old story has closed. The tears you cried were the ink heaven used to write your next chapter. Chosen one, your midnight season is over. The dawn is breaking. The storm has served its purpose. You've been tested, tried, refined, and now released. You are not who you were when you entered the fire. You've evolved, you've strengthened, you've been transformed. The very fire that was sent to consume you became the forge that refined you. When you walk through the fire, you shall not be burned, nor shall the flame kindle upon you. Isaiah 43:2. You walked through the flames, but instead of ashes, you emerged as gold, radiant, unbreakable, sanctified by suffering. What once wounded you has now become the weapon that guards your peace. Heaven watched your endurance and saw something unshakable, a soul that refused to surrender to despair. Now, the voice of God declares, "Step out, it's your time." You are walking out of the fire carrying fire. You've become what you survived. The very light that tried to dim you now burns within you as authority. In all these things, we are more than conquerors through him who loved us. Romans 8:37. You are not just a survivor. You are a conqueror, an overcomer, a living testimony of divine reversal. Everything that once intimidated you will now bow before you. Every mouth that spoke against you will testify of your rise. You see, heaven doesn't just restore, it multiplies. You lost something: time, trust, peace, but it's all returning in greater measure. God is returning years, not just blessings. He's redeeming moments, not just memories. I will restore to you the years that the locust hath eaten. Joel 2:25. The very places of loss are becoming wells of abundance. The same soil that felt barren will now bloom under your feet. Can you feel the shift in your spirit, that quiet knowing that this isn't just change, it's transformation? Heaven has turned its focus toward you, and divine acceleration has been activated. What was delayed is now being delivered. The no that once hurt you was heaven's protection. The silence that once scared you was heaven's strategy. God was never absent. He was building behind the veil. Chosen one, your name has been whispered in rooms you haven't entered yet. Angels have gone before you, preparing paths you don't even see. Destiny isn't approaching, it's already in motion. You've been prepared for visibility, but not for vanity, for impact, not applause. What's coming next is not a reward for endurance, it's an inheritance for obedience. You stayed faithful when no one was watching, and heaven took notice. Every delay was divine choreography, every detour divine redirection. The pieces that didn't make sense are now falling perfectly into place. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. The pattern is emerging, the puzzle complete, and you, the once forgotten, are standing in the center of God's fulfillment. Chosen one, this is your unveiling season. Heaven is about to put its fingerprint on your life in undeniable ways. You will no longer chase what's meant for you, it will chase you. You will no longer struggle to be seen, your light will find its stage. You will no longer question your place. Heaven has already sealed it. And the glory that follows won't just surround you, it will flow through you. You've been refined into clarity. Your vision is no longer clouded by fear, but illuminated by faith. You know now that the hand that is removed is the same hand that rebuilds. The voice that was silent was never absent. It was waiting for the perfect time to speak. And that time is now. The hour of divine fulfillment has come. Chosen one rises from the ashes, not as the same person who entered the fire, but as one who understands why the flames were necessary. Every scar tells a story not of pain, but of purpose. Every delay was designed. Every silence was a strategy. You were never being forgotten, you were being forged. Heaven has watched your faith, and now the world will witness your reward. So, breathe, beloved, the night is over. The sun of righteousness rises with healing in its wings. Malachi 4:2. Step into your new dawn, not with fear, but with reverence. You are no longer standing in the ruins of what was, you are standing in the revelation of what will be. The architect of heaven has finished the blueprint, and it bears your name. Can you feel it? The air shifting, the weight lifting, the peace returning. It's not just a new day, it's a new dimension. The wilderness has ended, the walls have fallen, the promise has begun. Chosen one, the same place that broke you will now become your platform. The same soil that saw your collapse will witness your resurrection. What was once your battlefield is about to become your stage of glory. Every scar has turned into a story not of defeat, but of divine endurance. Every wound has matured into wisdom, each one glowing faintly with the evidence of grace. You are not stepping out of the fire empty-handed. You are stepping out carrying glory. The flames did not consume you, they crowned you. The tears that once fell like rain have now crystallized into jewels of testimony. The very pain that humbled you has become the oil that anoints you. After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you and make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. Chosen one, this is your divine moment. Walk boldly, walk with your head high, speak with power, move with purpose. The trembling has ceased, and the authority within you has awakened. You are no longer the broken vessel, you are the chosen instrument. Heaven has equipped you with authority, clothed you with strength, and filled you with divine fire. The weight of your anointing is no longer something you question, it's something you carry. It moves through your words, through your silence, through the very air that shifts when you enter a room. Can you sense it? The calm confidence that comes when you finally understand who you are and whose you are. The anointing on your life now carries weight, the kind that shakes atmospheres and ignites others. You've been tested, trained, and trusted, and now heaven is sending you out. Your commissioning is complete. You are not stepping forward as you once were, uncertain, wounded, or seeking validation. You are stepping forth as a vessel that has been emptied, refined, and filled again. You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5:14. Heaven is no longer preparing you for the promise. The promise is now unfolding through you. It all ends tonight, not because life suddenly became easier, but because you became stronger. The storm that once threatened your peace now bows before your calm. The weapons that once wounded you have lost their edge. The whispers that once broke your focus now echo faintly, powerless against your clarity. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. Isaiah 54:17. It ends tonight, not because the world changed, but because everything within you did. You have become the change. The end of pain is the birth of purpose. The end of delay is the beginning of destiny. Can you feel the shift in your spirit, the quiet strength that hums beneath your skin like a living flame? That's divine confirmation. Heaven's vibration resonates through your being. You are no longer waiting for permission, you are walking in position. The same God who walked you through the wilderness is now walking you into inheritance. You've graduated from survival to stewardship. This is your night of holy transition. The heavens have decreed it, and the earth will witness it. The season of hiding is over. The voice that once trembled will now teach nations. The hands that once reached for help will now heal others. The heart that once bled from betrayal will now overflow with wisdom and compassion. What was once weakness has become a weapon of light. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives. Isaiah 61:1. Chosen one, every closed door was heaven's way of building your endurance. Every disappointment was heaven's training ground for discernment. You are not stepping into this season by chance, you were divinely chosen for it. The authority you carry is not learned, it is inherited through surrender. You have mastered the art of stillness, the science of faith, the frequency of obedience. Heaven trusts you now with what it could not release before. Can you imagine how far you've come, the moments when you almost broke, but grace held you together? The nights when your only prayer was silence, yet heaven heard every word your tears spoke. What if every delay was not denial, but a divine pause to perfect your preparation? You see, this was never about endurance alone, it was about evolution. You've become someone new. The version of you that doubted has disappeared, replaced by one who knows. Heaven is shifting you from hidden preparation to visible purpose. The weight you carry now is sacred. It is not for performance, but for transformation. Your presence will calm storms without a word. Your touch will bring peace to those tormented by confusion. Your voice will awaken sleeping souls. The mantle that once felt heavy now fits perfectly because you have grown into it. Remember, you were not chosen because you were perfect. You were chosen because you were willing, because you said yes when others said no, because you stayed when others fled, because you believed when the evidence told you to give up. You have earned heaven's trust. To whom much is given, much is required. Luke 12:48. But don't be afraid, you are not required to strive. You are only required to stay aligned. Every battle you faced was an initiation. Every loss, an invitation to deeper wisdom. Every waiting season, a rehearsal for revelation. You've been trained to carry peace into chaos, light into darkness, love into bitterness. This is not just your breakthrough, it's your birthright. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead now lives in you. Romans 8:11. You are walking proof of resurrection power. Chosen one, the atmosphere is responding to your awakening. The universe bends toward divine alignment when a chosen one realizes their worth. The energy around you is shifting. Opportunities, people, and resources are beginning to orbit around your purpose. You will not have to chase what heaven has assigned to you. It will locate you by light, not by effort. The glow you carry now cannot be hidden. It is the mark of divine ownership. Can you hear the whisper of heaven in your spirit? You have finished the waiting season. Now go forth and build. The trials that once silenced you have become the symphony of your calling. You are no longer defined by what broke you. You are defined by what you became after breaking. Every scar is sacred. Every lesson is legacy. Every victory is testimony. You are walking into a new dawn, radiant with authority, clothed in clarity, anchored in peace. This is the moment when heaven shifts from silence to spotlight, when purpose speaks louder than pain. It all ends tonight, the fear, the doubt, the delay. You are stepping into divine rhythm, where miracles follow motion. The same God who turned your wilderness into a sanctuary is now turning your obedience into overflow. The fire you carry now will light the path for others. Your voice will echo as prophecy to those still trapped in their midnight. Chosen one, you are not merely walking into destiny, you are becoming destiny. You are the fulfillment of generations of prayer, the embodiment of hope, the manifestation of divine promise. Step forward with confidence, because heaven has already gone ahead of you. You've reached the moment where prophecy becomes presence. This is your unveiling, your divine coronation. The old has passed away. Behold, all things are made new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Heaven is standing in applause. The angels are aligning in formation. The Father is smiling with pride. You are no longer waiting for the light. You are the light. And the world will never be the same after your yes. Chosen one. Have you ever reached a point where your prayers felt like echoes returning unanswered, where the heavens above seemed locked in silence, and every sign you once relied on vanished? You whispered, "God, are you still here?" And all you heard was stillness. What you didn't realize is that silence was never abandonment, it was initiation. When heaven goes quiet, it's not rejecting you, it's refining you. The silence of God is not the end of communication, it's the beginning of revelation. You see, heaven's silence is the sound of construction. While you thought nothing was happening, the architect of your destiny was laying foundations deep within your soul, foundations too sacred for noise. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is not the absence of movement, it's the presence of divine calibration. Heaven was adjusting your heart to hear differently, to trust more deeply, to walk by faith and not by sight. When God stops speaking in the way you expect, it's because He's teaching you to listen beyond sound. Chosen one, do you know why the silence felt so heavy? Because heaven was changing the frequency of your spirit. You were being shifted from emotional reaction to spiritual discernment. The noise of your past was being stripped away so you could recognize the whisper of eternity. Sometimes God hides not to punish you, but to see if you'll still seek Him. He wants to know, will you chase His presence when His voice disappears? Will you love Him for who He is, not just what He says? When heaven is silent, that's when trust becomes pure. In the absence of signs, faith becomes sight. In the absence of comfort, belief becomes obedience. Remember Job, who said, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust him." Job 13:15. Heaven watched how you prayed when you heard nothing, how you worshipped when you felt empty, how you stayed when you could have walked away. That was your exam, not your exile. Heaven measures strength not by how loudly you shout in victory, but by how deeply you trust in silence. There is a sacred discipline that comes only in the quiet. You learn the rhythm of waiting, the architecture of patience, the melody of surrender. For still the vision awaits its appointed time. It hastens to the end. It will not lie. Habakkuk 2-3. The silence was not God ignoring you. It was God timing you. Every unanswered prayer was a divine delay designed to mature your discernment. The weight of your calling required roots that could not be grown in noise. That's why He hid you in plain sight. You weren't being punished, you were being protected. Can you see it now? The silence wasn't empty, it was full of hidden work. The pain wasn't pointless, it was pregnant with purpose. The waiting room you cursed was the workshop of your transformation. You asked, why is God so quiet? But the truth is, He was speaking in ways words could never carry. He was building your faith like a sculptor, chiseling marble each unanswered moment, shaping your strength. He knows the way that I take. When He has tested me, I shall come forth as gold. Job 23:10. Chosen one, the silence was your classroom. You were learning endurance, humility, and sensitivity to divine timing. You were learning how to sit in darkness and still declare light. You were learning to hold peace like a sword and stillness like a shield. Heaven was not ignoring your prayers, it was preparing your answers. Every no was a redirection. Every delay was a refinement. Every unanswered moment was God saying, I trust you to wait. There's a divine irony in the way heaven trains its warriors. It teaches them through stillness. A soldier of light must know when to move, but also when to rest. You can't fight forever. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is not move at all. That's where strength matures, when you realize the battle doesn't always require your sword. Sometimes it requires your silence. Can you feel it now? The calm after the storm inside you? That's not emptiness, it's readiness. The silence has shifted into clarity. You're beginning to understand what all those quiet nights were for. Heaven was not testing your ability to hear, it was revealing your capacity to believe. Because the moment faith no longer depends on confirmation, you step into true authority. Chosen one, you are not the same person who entered this silence. You came in uncertain, and you're emerging unshakable. You came in questioning, and you're leaving with conviction. The darkness you feared was actually the cocoon where your wings were forming. The silence you resented became the space where you were reborn. And now, you can hear heaven again, but differently. Not through external signs, but through internal knowing. You have been tuned to heaven's frequency. In this new alignment, you'll notice that divine timing will feel effortless. Doors will open quietly, favor will arrive without noise, and miracles will unfold without drama. That's the beauty of divine silence. It produces quiet strength, the kind of power that doesn't need to shout to be felt. In returning and rest, you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. Isaiah 30-15. Chosen one, don't despise the seasons when heaven goes quiet again. They are sacred invitations to grow deeper roots. Every time you enter that silence now, you'll recognize it not as loneliness, but as love. Not as punishment, but as preparation. The same God who was silent in your sorrow will sing over you in your victory. The same silence that once frightened you will now feel like home, because you've learned the truth. When heaven is silent, it's not withholding, it's working. So tonight, if you feel the stillness stretching across your soul, don't run from it. Rest in it. That's where divine whispers live. That's where the next instructions are being written not on paper, but on your heart. You've passed the test, chosen one. The silence has shaped you into a vessel heaven can now speak through, and when heaven speaks again, it will be through you. Chosen one, what happens when the battle finally ends? When the shouting stops, when the noise fades, when the storm that once defined you suddenly goes still? You've prayed for peace, cried for relief, and longed for calm, but now that it's here, it feels unfamiliar. You wake up one morning and realize the war inside you has gone quiet, yet your spirit trembles as if waiting for the next strike. You've lived in warfare for so long that silence feels suspicious. That's what happens to the chosen who have been trained in fire. Peace doesn't feel like comfort at first, it feels like confusion. For years, every step you took was a fight. Every day was survival. You learned to read the spiritual air like a soldier watching the horizon for smoke. But now, the battlefield has gone empty, and heaven is whispering, "Be still, the war is over." Yet inside, a part of you wonders, can peace really last? Can I trust the quiet? You're not broken for asking that. You're human. You see, trauma trains the body to expect war even when there's none. When the noise stops, the nervous system still listens for echoes. But God is teaching you a new rhythm now, a rhythm of rest. Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. This isn't the rest of inactivity, it's the rest of trust. The kind that lets you exhale after holding your breath for years. Chosen one, peace feels strange because you've been shaped by battle. The same way a sword remembers the heat that forged it, your spirit remembers the fire that purified it. You were sharpened by adversity, but you were never meant to live inside the furnace forever. The war was your awakening, not your identity. Now heaven is saying, you may lay your armor down. The angels that once fought beside you are now standing in formation, not for battle, but for blessing. Can you feel that shift? The silence that once scared you now carries sacred warmth. The stillness that felt empty now hums with unseen glory. You're walking through a holy transition from surviving to thriving, from striving to receiving. But the human heart doesn't adapt to peace instantly. It must be retrained. You've learned how to fight, but now you must learn how to rest in victory. Do you remember Elijah after Mount Carmel, the prophet who called down fire from heaven moments later? He ran into the wilderness, exhausted and afraid, 1 Kings 19:3-5. Even prophets feel lost after victory. Why? Because warfare takes energy and peace requires surrender. The greatest test of the chosen is not how well they fight, it's how well they rest after the fight. When the adrenaline fades, the quiet feels heavy. You start to wonder if you've lost your fire. But hear this, your fire didn't die, it transformed. The flame that once burned in battle has become the light that now guides you in peace. You no longer need to fight to prove your power. Your presence is proof enough. The Lord will fight for you, and you have only to be silent. Exodus 14:14. Peace, to the trained warrior, feels like unfamiliar territory. But it's the territory of promise. The same God who guided you through the storm is now guiding you into still waters. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. Psalm 23:2-3. Restoration is more uncomfortable than chaos because it demands vulnerability. In battle, your walls protected you. In peace, those walls must come down so healing can enter. The armor that once saved you now weighs you down. Chosen one, can you sense what heaven is doing? The stillness you feel is not absence, it's restoration. The quiet around you is filled with sacred rebuilding. Heaven is patching the torn places in your soul, sealing cracks that war created. It's teaching you how to live without constant defense. You are not losing your edge, you are gaining endurance. The goal was never to keep fighting forever. It was to learn peace so powerful that even war bows before it. This is why peace feels like foreign soil. You're walking on ground your spirit hasn't known before. It's holy, but it's also new, and that's okay. Growth often begins as discomfort. Healing often masquerades as emptiness. But beneath the quiet, life is forming again. Flowers grow after fires, still waters run deep. Your calm doesn't mean your calling has ended, it means it's maturing. Think about Jesus after the wilderness. He didn't remain in isolation, he emerged in power. And Jesus returned in the power of the Spirit into Galilee, Luke 4:14. The silence of his testing became the foundation of his ministry. Likewise, your peace will become your platform. You're no longer living on reaction, you're walking in rhythm with heaven. You don't need to rush. The same God who sustained you in war will sustain you in rest. But rest doesn't mean inactivity, it means flow. You will still move, but with grace. You will still speak, but with wisdom. You will still lead, but with gentleness. Peace doesn't erase your power, it refines it. The true mark of authority is composure. When others panic, your calm will command the atmosphere. That's what the world will feel when you enter the room, the residue of someone who has survived both battle and blessing. Can you allow yourself to receive this peace without questioning it? Can you live without the noise that once defined you? The silence now isn't emptiness, it's evidence that the enemy has been silenced. The absence of chaos isn't loss, it's heaven's signature on your victory. You've crossed over from striving to sovereignty, from surviving to shining. Chosen one, this peace is not temporary, it's transformational. The world will not understand how you smile after so much loss, how you remain calm when everything once screamed. That's because your peace is not circumstantial, it's covenantal. It's born of promise, sealed by fire and sustained by grace. You have been taught to live as a peacemaker, not a prisoner of pain. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Matthew 5-9. So, if tonight feels too quiet, if you're waiting for another storm that never comes, breathe. You are not missing the fight, you are living the fulfillment. Heaven didn't train you to survive, he trained you to rest as a ruler. You're learning to command peace like a king commands order. You're not the soldier trembling after battle, you're the crowned one walking into destiny. Let your body unclench, let your heart slow down. You don't have to brace for impact anymore. The war is over, the silence is holy, the stillness is sacred. Heaven is whispering now, softly but surely, you made it. This is what peace after the battle feels like. Strange at first, but soon it will feel like home. Chosen one. Have you ever felt the weight of something invisible pressing upon your shoulders? You wake up and sense a gravity in your spirit, like you're carrying something vast, something sacred, but you can't quite name it. It's not depression, it's not exhaustion, it's the mantle. The divine cloak of responsibility placed upon those whom heaven can trust. The reason your calling feels heavy is because it is. Heaven never anoints lightly. The oil that flows from the throne carries weight, and that weight is the mark of divine trust. When Elijah's mantle fell upon Elisha, it wasn't just a symbol, it was a transfer of spiritual gravity. A mantle doesn't just empower, it burdens with holy accountability. And Elisha took up the mantle of Elijah that fell from him and struck the waters and said, "Where is the Lord, the God of Elijah?" 2 Kings 2:14. From that moment, Elisha could no longer live an ordinary life, and neither can you. Chosen one, you've wondered why your life feels different, why joy and sorrow visit you in deeper shades than others, why peace and pressure walk beside you like twin shadows. It's because you carry heaven's agenda within human limitation. That tension you feel, it's divine power pressing against mortal flesh. Every chosen vessel must carry the paradox of glory and gravity, the call to soar while being anchored by humility. Have you noticed how certain places drain you faster than others, or how you can't tolerate superficial conversations anymore? That's not arrogance, it's alignment. The higher the calling, the finer the frequency. Heaven tuned your spirit to discern truth from noise. And sometimes the weight of discernment feels lonely. You see too much, you sense too deeply, you care too sincerely. But this sensitivity is not weakness, it's spiritual intelligence. It's the ability to perceive what others overlook. Even Moses felt it. If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. Exodus 33-15. The burden of leadership isn't the journey, it's the presence. Once you've walked with the Almighty, every step without Him feels unbearable. The mantle makes you dependent, not independent. It keeps you tethered to heaven's will, because apart from that connection, the weight becomes crushing. The anointing you carry wasn't cheap. It was bought through tears, isolation, and obedience. Others saw your breakthrough, but few saw your breaking. The public mantle was forged in private agony. Like olive oil pressed from crushing, your power flows from your pain. Every tear that fell in the dark became part of the oil now shining on your spirit. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, works for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. 2 Corinthians 4:17. Chosen one. That's why your calling feels heavy, because glory has weight. It presses, purifies, and perfects. The mantle you wear doesn't just rest upon you, it molds you. It shapes your posture, disciplines your responses, and refines your character. Before God can trust you with authority, He teaches you responsibility. You're not just called to carry power, you're called to carry presence. Have you ever asked yourself why peace sometimes feels costly? Because peace maintained by power is stewardship, not comfort. The mantle demands vigilance. It asks that you remain spiritually awake even when others sleep. It requires compassion in the face of offense, silence when slandered, humility when exalted. It demands that you forgive even when the wound still bleeds. And in those moments when your heart wants to give up, remember, the mantle wasn't placed on your shoulders because you were perfect. It was placed there because you were willing. Think of Michelangelo's creation of Adam, that divine moment painted on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, God's finger reaching toward man's. That space between them represents the tension of calling. The closer you get to God, the more that gap between humanity and divinity humbles you. You feel both chosen and unworthy, powerful yet fragile. And that's exactly where heaven wants you, aware of your dependence, yet conscious of your destiny. Chosen one, this heaviness you feel isn't punishment, it's protection. God uses it to keep you grounded. It's what prevents pride from poisoning purpose. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5-6. The mantle bows before it rises. The anointing doesn't inflate the ego, it sanctifies it. That's why those who crave recognition rarely last. But those who crave obedience become eternal. Do you see it now? The mantle doesn't crush, it calibrates. It teaches you when to speak and when to stay silent. It guides you when to lead and when to withdraw. It disciplines you not to chase applause, but to listen for alignment. It reminds you that heaven's assignment is not about spotlight, but stewardship. You are carrying something sacred, something that must be protected, even when misunderstood. You may have nights where you ask, God, why me? Why does it have to be so hard? But heaven whispers, because you can handle what others cannot. Your endurance is evidence of your election. Your pressure is proof of your preparation. You weren't chosen to live light, you were chosen to carry fire. And fire is never weightless. There's a scientific truth here too. Gravity only increases as mass increases. The same is true in the spirit. The more glory you carry, the greater the pull toward humility. Heaven ensures that for every measure of anointing, there's an equal measure of grounding. That's why your journey has felt so intense. God wasn't trying to break you, He was building your capacity. Remember what Jesus said in Luke 12:48, "To whom much is given, much will be required." The mantle is heaven's trust made visible. It's not a crown of comfort, it's a cloak of calling. It will sometimes feel like isolation because you walk paths few can understand, but every step is sacred. Every tear is counted. Every moment of weariness is a prayer heard in heaven's court. Chosen one, don't run from the weight, learn to rest under it. The strength you seek won't come from escaping your calling, but from embracing it. When the mantle feels too heavy, remember that you're not carrying it alone. The Spirit that placed it upon you also sustains it within you. Your job is to yield, not strive. The yoke may be holy, but it's also shared. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30. So, tonight, if your spirit feels weary, breathe deeply. The pressure you feel is not the end, it's the proof. It means you've been trusted with something eternal. The weight you carry is the evidence of heaven's faith in you. Wear it with grace, walk with humility, move with reverence, because you are not just chosen, you are commissioned. And the mantle you bear is not a burden, it's a prophecy. You are the continuation of Elijah's story, the living echo of those who came before, the bridge between what was promised and what must now manifest. Heaven has wrapped you in destiny. The mantle fits now. Chosen one, if you've made it this far, it means your spirit was meant to hear this. This message didn't find you by coincidence. It was heaven's confirmation that you've crossed a sacred threshold. You are no longer standing in preparation, you are standing on purpose. Everything you've endured, every battle, every silence, every tear has been leading you here to this very moment of awakening. You now understand what the mantle means, why the calling felt heavy, and why peace had to come through pain. You've walked through the wilderness, faced the fire, and survived the silence, not to remain the same, but to rise and renew. This is your rebirth. This is the hour heaven stamps its seal of completion over your journey of endurance. The time for questioning is ending. The time for walking in quiet authority has begun. The same God who anointed David in obscurity is now positioning you in visibility, not for vanity, but for victory. The lessons you've learned will become light for others still wandering through their night. Your scars will become sacred scrolls that testify of divine preservation. Your words will carry weight, not because they are loud, but because they are true. And your presence will shift rooms not by force, but by frequency. You are no longer waiting for permission to rise. You are the permission. You are the living evidence that what was meant to destroy you was secretly designed to define you. Heaven has written your name in the new chapter of divine history, and now your story becomes someone else's survival manual. So, as you leave this message, take a moment to breathe in the peace that's been spoken over you. Let it sink into your bones. Let it settle in your spirit. You are chosen, covered, and commissioned. The mantle you carry is not a burden, it is a bridge. Through you, heaven is touching earth. Through you, divine light continues to expand. If this message has stirred something within you, if you feel that divine recognition deep in your chest, then let your spirit respond. Share this message so another soul may remember who they are. Leave a comment below with one truth that resonated with your heart, so that together, this community of chosen souls may grow stronger in faith and unity. And if this word spoke life into your journey, I invite you to subscribe, to walk this path with us, where each message is not just a video, it's a visitation. For those who have supported this channel, whether through prayers, presents, or the super thanks, from the depths of my heart, thank you. Your kindness helps keep this light shining in a world that desperately needs hope. And even if you never give a cent, your attention, your spirit, your amen in the comments, it matters. It builds the altar of this digital sanctuary, where the broken come to remember their strength. As we close tonight, I release this blessing over you. May your nights be filled with divine dreams and your mornings with holy clarity. May your footsteps be guided by peace and your words drenched in wisdom. May no weapon formed against you prosper, and may every seed you've sown in tears return multiplied in joy. You are covered by grace, guarded by angels, and guided by destiny. This is not the end, chosen one. This is your beginning. Heaven has marked you for movement, anointed you for impact, and prepared you for victory. Walk boldly, speak gently, love fiercely. And remember, your light was never meant to blend in. It was meant to break through. Until we meet again, stay grounded in faith, anchored in peace, and radiant in truth. This is your season of divine confirmation. The mantle fits, the mission begins. Blessings and love always.